a group of us sees it as a means of our liberation. For after his battering, Britain's days as world leader are over. She will have to give up the empire. We must prepare for independence, for self-franchise, for adult government. And that is why this attack on you is so senseless. I mean, they withheld education from us. And when we came up with our own thing, they only turned around and brutalized you. Give us teachers. Give us schools. Expose us to the best the modern world has to offer. That is what we need to help win our way forward into civilized society after the brutalization of slavery. But you have these laws. And how you change these laws? You need to have power. You need to be there in the council. So all I can tell you, all I can say, is that I will talk to the police inspector, who of course has a point. He is just upholding the law. But the solution is at hand. This war has raised our political consciousness and made it aware of other lands and made it necessary for them to transfer power to us. You must stand prepared, Brother B, to put a man of your choosing in the council. When the time comes, you won't have to call me, Teacher Moto. As soon as the war is over, Britain is going to give us the votes. Yes. One man, one vote. We will be free.
And what are you going to do until that time comes? Brother B, run again. Let us deal with Prince Leader B.
And when they send another policeman,
no leader, no.
Brother, if a man compel you to walk 1 mile, go 2. Amen. If he asks you for your jacket, give him your shirt too. Amen. We're going to try their way. They want us not to ring the bell? We're not going to ring the bell. They want us to sing quiet and to pray quiet. We're going to sing and pray quiet as they sing and pray. That war can't go on forever. Move, Satan, move, let me pass. Move, Satan, move, let me pass.
I am on my way, safe and sanctified. Move, Satan, move, let me pass. Move, Satan, move, let me pass. Move, Satan, move, let me pass. I am on my way, safe and sanctified. Move, Satan, move, move, Satan, move, let me pass. Move, Satan, move, let me pass. I am on my way, safe and sanctified. the more we go on with this type of service, this soft singing and quiet praying, and not ringing the bell, and not touching the spirit, is the more I realize that we ain't solve no problem. All we doing is watering down the beauty of our church and chasing away even our own children.
Yes.
So right up in your religion, Japan. Need to break the law.
Joyce! Joyce! Mom! Come! Don't take her not seeing while you're looking at your father. What do you want us to do? I could just leave here. You take it easy, Faith? You think you don't have no sense or no courage? That you could just raise a hand and make things happen for you, Joyce? And wait up. Fall in front. Taffy! Taffy! Yeah! Ma calling you! Taffy! I thought you was by Mr. Moses learning tailoring. Taffy, I see you taking up with this pan, this rubbish bin, cutting with knife, smoking cigarette, looking for fight, and cussing bad word like the American soldiers on the base. And every day with this pan, ping, 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 hush. Like I have a secret to tell you, and you have to hit it, and hit it, and hit it. Where's the tell you the secret? What's wrong with you? You don't have ears? You don't have eyes? You don't see the pressure on your father, Taffy?
Well, then it's best I leave here, right?
Leave and go where? And do what? Become a bandman? A bad John Taffy?
Ma, what a nice boy like me want to be a bad man. I want to go and see the world. See snow.
Snow?
Put on a winter coat.
I have no
You don't think I look nice in a coat?
No, come, boys!
Keep swimming.
This world not making joke with black people. You hear? What upon will take your Taffy? Instead of you continue learning the tailoring by Mr. Moses, you're dreaming nonsense and studying foolishness to put yourself in trouble and me in expense. Taffy, go back to Mr. Moses' tailor shop.
But ma, Mr. Moses too ugly. All you never realize, the more you stay around ugly people, you yourself just get ugly. And I mean, right now I'm not so ugly, right? Honestly. But ma, if you give me one more year with Mr. Moses, you yourself will cry when you see your son. I will get so black. My nose will open up wide just like Mr. Moses will.
I tell you, this world is making joke with you, you know, Taffy. It's not making joke. As beautiful as you is, you think it's going to open up a way for you just so? And your brother Winston. What is this I hearing that he want to join the police force? Taffy, the same police that up and down terrorizing every church we worship in without feeling, without thought, Taffy! All they want to join them?
Ma,
You know why?
funny story. Ma, we're gonna have to Ma, I tell Winston, right? Now this was it. Winston boy, when you're police, you just swear to lock up your own mother. And I mean, the uniform they give you to wear too is dark blue. And he done so black already, right? In the hot sun, sweat running down your face. You're gonna have to walk with towels upon towels upon towels. All they want to spend all their money on towels. But every police is pay better, right?
I hear you all want to join the police.
Not me, sir. It is Winston.
Tell them to go. Go! And you don't want to join the police? To beat and arrest people too? Go! 2 sons, one a policeman, and the other what?
A van man.
Stephen!
I expected more from you, Pa. I expected you, Leader B, to understand. We as criminals just like you. Police will be chasing me for making music. No choice.
I must walk this pilgrim journey. I must walk this lonesome road. Nobody else can walk it for me. I must walk it by myself. I must walk this pilgrim journey. I must walk this lonesome road. Nobody else can walk it for me. I must walk it by myself. I must walk this pilgrim journey. I must walk this lonesome road. Nobody else can walk it for me. I must walk it by myself.
You can't blame the children, B. What you want them to do? What you want them to do? Sure, you're trying with the church. B, but look at how things going. Every day people leaving. And Bolo was looking to us to do something, B. Now we don't even see him.
Yes, Bolo leave. But Bolo leave in vexation. And what is the solution? Kill Prince? That is the answer to solve the problem? For them to send out the police and the army to mash up every church on the island? I have a responsibility here.
B, I talking about the children.
Is it too much to expect a little responsibility from them?
And what you asking them to be responsible for? For half their church where we can pray or catch the spirit, B? What you want them to do?
Nothing. They ain't responsible for nothing. The church will come. Yes, you're right, Eva. We have nothing to keep them here. What am I killing myself here for?
B, soon the war will end.
The war will end. The war will never end until people are free. We're gonna break this law, Eva. Eva, we're gonna break this law.
I must walk it by myself. I must walk this pilgrim journey. I must walk this lonesome road. Nobody else can walk it for me. I must walk it by myself. I must walk this pilgrim journey. I must walk this lonesome road. Nobody else can walk it for me. I must walk it by myself.
Yes, B.
I must walk this pilgrim journey. I must walk this lonesome road. Nobody else can walk it for me. I must walk by myself. Put on anybody and talk to Jesus. Put on anybody and come on. Put on anybody and talk to Jesus. Talk to Jesus. Put on anybody and talk to Jesus. Jesus, I must pray. Put on anybody and put on anybody and put on anybody and
Judah, lift up your voices.
Under arrest.
It is good. It is good to give thanks unto the Lord and sing praises unto his name. It is good.
Yes, sir. Everything according to the law. Everything.
Well, I know you're just doing your duty. Be gentle. I'll be heading to the justice of peace to see about the bail.
Yes, sir. All right. Let's go. What these people do? I'll have to answer to you. Get out of the way. My mother is one of these people. They obstructed the law.
For assaulting the police and for resisting arrest. I charge you 3 years hard labor.
3 years? What? 3
Order! Next! You, sir, are charged with unlawful assembly under the Charters Ordinance, Section 4, Chapter 19. Do you understand the law, the charges laid against you?
We are not guilty.
No.
We don't accept.
No.
Because in our country there's so many different races.
Yes.
And so many different religions.
Yeah.
There could be a crime to worship a spiritual Baptist.
Yeah.
We have Hindus, Muslims, Catholics, Anglicans, Adventists, Methodists. Is it because our religion don't come from England? Is it because it's a black people church?
You, sir, stand before me in the robes of a clown. What? And challenge the legality of the laws of the British Crown to argue that I should allow you to lead poor people astray, making them jump and prance and shout to the devil as they are still in the wilds of Africa. This, sir, is a civilized country.
You ban the beating of African drums.
Yes.
You ban stick fighting.
Yes.
You ban bongo dancing.
Yes.
What are you afraid of? What are you trying to do?
I wonder.
Satisfy your conscience? I'm taking around culture to see if you have milk? What are you trying to do?
Stand down, sir, before I charge you in contempt of His Majesty's court.
Yes.
Now I shall reprimand and discharge you people. But as for you, the ring leader, I charge you £10 or 21 days.
No man,
see. And the other one, ladies and gentlemen, is talking book. Captain Richardson is telling you that we will put boys in the sea to mark the area so we will know where is deep when we go to fish. Can you imagine, comrades, when big men go out here to swim to the jump, and Captain Richardson is going to put little boys. And the other one, people, is like he eat a dictionary. People cannot eat book in this country. People cannot eat bread.
Yes.
What people need is bread.
Yes.
People need bread.
Yes.
B-R-E-D.
No! Yes, I said it!
B-R-E-D-A.
Pick up a dictionary.
Ladies and gentlemen, we as a people suffer from one grievous handicap.
What?
Our educational system. What we have today is a system that gives every opportunity to the rich and none to the poor.
Yeah.
And I promise you, I shall provide a new system, an equitable system, a just system. But what is keeping us back in this colony? It is not our color. It is our education. We must acquire this so as to be respected. And once we get our education, we shall be second to none. That is why we must reject the backwardness of Captain Richardson. Massa they done. You hear me? Massa they done. We must also refuse the simplicity of my dear friend, Rufus George. My people, we have a long way to go tonight. We have plenty more villages to cover. But remember, vote intelligence, vote education, vote for morality in public affairs, vote for a better future for your children. For it is written, suffer the little children to come unto me and forbid them not for. This is the kingdom.
CBT! See me through, Lord Jesus, see me through. For it's a long way to go, and I've been dreams to behold. And every hour, see me through, see me through.
We celebrate one great victory. Come on. I one more time. Win the election. And in a little while, we welcome our brother who has released something. Hallelujah. So let tonight be the last time we worship in this way one day. For tonight, we have a man in the council to plead our case. To change the laws and to right the wrong that's been going on against us all this wrong. Hold on. So let us worship tonight quiet. Let our hymns and prayers be a mark of respect for the man that you put in the council.
We got the victory. Hallelujah.
We got the victory. Hallelujah. Satan defeated. Hallelujah. Satan defeated.
What you want here?
Hallelujah.
Y'all stay routine, chap.
You have orders for this? I don't work without orders. We will see. We will see. We can bear it from the magistrate and the police. We can bear it. But not to bear it from our own people too. Put a man in the council and have to bear it from him too.
We can bear it and rise. All this fuss about this one examination. 12 years. And you feel like your whole life end if you fail this one examination. Don't let them break your heart at 12.
Why we don't ask Mr. Morton to get Reggie into high school?
What will happen if everybody go to Ivan Morton to get his son into high school?
You is not everybody. You campaign the length and the breadth of this country to put him into council.
I ain't put him there for that kind of favor. I put him there to change the law. And 6 months now in the council. Be in the council and he even lift a finger yet to change the law. And the police patrolling outside the church.
Look, give him time. He doing so much things already, B. Give him time. He helps Sister Aggie to get old age pension, B. He have people surveying the land behind the cemetery to give out to people. And Sister Ruth and Leon, she organized the papers for him to get a job on the agriculture station. Give him time.
And every day the church growing more away. Growing more astray. I can remember the last time we had a real service. People looking to me.
We wait so long already. A little time never kill nobody, B.
A little time, eh? A little time.
Joyce. Oh, she going? Ma! Ma! Come quick! Come quick! Come in!
See what? Don't believe who it is. It's a car you calling me so desperately to see? I could have swear somebody dead.
It's 5 minutes.
Clyde buy a new car? Clyde buy a new car?
Is Mr. Morton
What?
What do you expect? They make him a minister? Expect him to get around in that old jalopy?
You talk to him, B? You talk to him since you win the election?
I don't need to talk to him. He know what he put him in there to do.
Ma,
What?
they're moving. Who? I've been working on them moving.
Ivan Morton?
Yes.
What? Joyce! Where this guy gossip from? Where he moving living amongst his people for? Where he would go, Joyce?
Ma, he moving into the old Richardson house. Oh, he's not moving.
But Joyce, I passed there yesterday and the house was built in the same spot where his father built it, Joyce. The curtains, the furniture, everything was there.
Yes, ma. But Clyde is there, sugar. Clyde, tell ma. Clyde, ma.
I don't care what Clyde had to say. You ever see anybody leave and they take nothing?
Ma. Clyde, tell me.
Hey! Clyde! I hope you're watching yourself, eh? Because love sweet and love fine, Joyce. I hope you're watching yourself. Because what's sweet and God mouth, the bitter in your mouth.
Ma. Now that he got a new job, Clyde wants to come and talk to Pa.
What Clyde want to talk to your father for?
He wants us to get married.
Joyce, you pray. B! You hear Ivan Morton moving out the house up the street?
Mara Eva, the leader home.
He in the back. Go through. He fixing the house in the back. Go through. He busy pounding, so he can't hear you.
Don't bother calling him. I know when the leader working, he working. Sure, you see?
Hi, Sister Ellen.
Helen, what is this I hearing that Clyde wants to talk to me?
Mother Eva, the boy was waiting. We know you would have want them to get married in our church. But it's 3 years now the boy waiting. The boy can't wait no more. It's 3 years we waiting for this ban to lift from the church and for we church to be free. We would have thought that with Ivan Morton in the council, it would have been left by now. But it looked like we go have to be waiting some more now that he gonna live up on the hill in the house that Richardson dead and leave.
So he really moved?
Mother Eva, I see plenty of people move already. They just move with things that belong to them. Old chairs and tables might be old, but they belong to them.
Ellen, he really moved?
Mother Eva, the boy leave, I didn't take one thing with him.
Ellen, he going up in the Richardson house to live?
Fitzy, his father must be turning in his grave. Yes, Mr. Fitzy takes to build that house, adding one room to another. Taking every piece of scrap he could take to fix it. And he leave it for the boy to fix it. You know, Ivan Morton abandoned it.
Ivan Morton going up in Richardson house to live!
I just tell him the news. Don't frighten Sister Eva. We progressing. Before Ivan move up there, the only way a black person enter that house was as a servant. We should be glad that one of us have gone up there to live. He won't just forsake his people, you know.
They say it have new things in Richardson house.
What new things, Ellen? In Richardson house, it only a used thing and dead thing that generations of Richardson use and live.
Bunting, you didn't hear him promise?
You sure you hear well? Eh? Eh? Was he who promised? Eh? Or you who wish? Hmm? Who hope? And what he promised? Eh? He promised he will help with the church. He didn't promise not to progress.
Not understanding him. Not understanding him.
Me. We have to support him. Yes. It's right here he born and grow, you know. There's a little patience I asking you to give him. Those who is against us in this island will rejoice to see us pulling down the same man we put up in the council. Hold up your people, leader B. Don't give up on him so easy.
It's a shame though. Brother Bolo time nearly up in prison. Wait now. Mother Eva, is today coming out?
Oh yes.
Oh, it's today?
Yes, yes. Yesterday.
Oh shit, it's today.
Yesterday. What? It will kill Bolo to know that we put a man in the council. For him to come out of the prison and the law still a change, you know, B.
Yes.
B. I just wish we could give him a proper welcome in a proper church. Oh God. Oh, and another thing. Joyce, the boy Clyde want to come and talk to you.
Yes, yes.
To married.
Oh, yes.
That is great news. Clyde is a lucky fella. What you feel about this? What you feel about this, brother B?
How I feel?
Yeah.
How I feel about my daughter getting married in somebody else's church? How I feel? I'll go and see Ivan Motor.
Decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus.
My presentation this morning is we're going to talk a little bit about the history of spiritual spaces. We have a spiritual space that is called the church. And I'm talking here spiritual Baptist. So we're going to talk some Baptistness now. Amen? We're going to get on into some Baptistness. We have the space called the church. We are all here right now in this church. But within the church, there are spaces, particular spaces in the church. And what we're going to look at is how did we come about with some of them. This is just two pictures to show of what a long time church would have looked like and what nowadays church looks like. So we can move on from that. This man, Ashram L. Stapleton, that's my uncle. That's my father's brother. And in doing my presentation, I felt that I wanted to use some of his material. So go up. Now, before the Prohibition Act was in force, in the early years of the Spiritual Baptist Church, there were not as much churches as we know now. People used to keep
prayer groups and thing in their backyards, under their houses, in their living rooms, that kind of thing. And those prayer groups turn into prayer meeting. What is the difference? A prayer group will meet to pray. When you turn it from a prayer group into a prayer meeting, then you would have what we call church. As a matter of fact, long time that's how they used to refer to things. We having a prayer meeting by Mary. We having a prayer meeting done by mother this one, right? In the Bible, Peter and they used to have prayer meetings when they would go from house to house. And I use the reference from Acts chapter 2, verses 46 and 47. Baptism and other religious practices used to take place in people's houses in those days. With the passing of the Prohibition Ordinance, spiritual Baptists, we now had to, or they then had to find new ways to worship, because they wanted to continue worshiping God the way they knew how, right? And this led them to, they had to migrate into the forest. They had to go into forested areas. And there in the forest, they then built what they call camps. Now, these camps had to be able at any moment, at any minute, to be broken down and to move. Because once the police found them, they had to move from there, either go deeper into the forest or move to another forest. But the thing about it is when they moved with their camps, right? And so they had to build it with material that was very easy to move from one place to another. Now, this is an example of what a camp with a thatched roof and a center pole may have looked like. I'm not saying that this is an actual one, but this is just for you to be able to visualize what it may have looked like. This is what it looked like. And this will take us now into, I want to talk about the center pole. Now, a lot of things were given by faith. And there were some things we had to come up with methods to use in order to be able to do what we wanted to do. And so the history of the center pole is one that is unique to us spiritual Baptists, because it was created by us to hold up the roof. Now, so let's walk through that. Do you know what's a thatch roof? Anybody here know what's that? A carrot roof? Right. Right. So that was the roof that they used to build. They used to weave the carrot leaf, in such a way so that rain would not come in. But they had to find a way to tie it. For builders in here would understand what that means. Tie it so that the roof had to be able to hold on to something so that it will not fall apart. And when they did that, they had to erect a pole in the center to which if we look at the picture just now, while I'm talking so we understand. So you see all of this here, it had to connect somewhere or else it could not hold up. Yeah? So that this pole was really important. And that is how the center pole came into existence. As time went by, what we understand about the center pole is that because it was there, it was considered then to be the strongest part of the church. Because no pole, no roof. Yeah? And because of that, the practitioners started to adorn the center pole with vessels. And the center pole then became what we call today and understand as the bounding center. Do you understand why it was called the bounding center? Yes? No? It was called the bounding center because it was what held the roof. That is how it became the bounding center. And when it became that, in a physical way, it gained some spiritual meaning because the vessels that were put there were put there to represent all nations. To encompass all nations. That is why when you look at the center pole, you see the lota, you see the goblet, you see the glass, you see the tarrier, help me, the calabash. Right. That is where we got that from. The bounding center where you and I and the Chinese and the Indian and the African and everybody became one in Christ. It was made a spiritual space out of necessity. It was made a spiritual place out of necessity. So if it is that you're wondering, could God give you a center pole? Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Because it existed, because it exists, because it has a spiritual significance of something that started off as a physical thing that became of spiritual significance. Yes, you can get that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about center pole again. I have heard, and I don't know if you heard it, that people say that the center pole represents the penis of the church. Can I fix that? A spiritual God does not need a physical penis to reproduce. Penis is for man and woman to procreate. God does not need, can I say this as I want to say it, vagina and penis to reproduce spiritual people. That is not a spiritual teaching. That is a teaching that came from when people don't know what to say but want to look wise. They speak that kind of thing. The sad part of that is they will teach other people who will go out there to represent us and say that. I have heard that all in Barbados. I heard a big thing about that, and people catching power and tell them. The center pole does not represent the penis of the man. God's Holy Spirit is what will draw us unto him. The church cannot, if you didn't believe me, think now. Think carnal. The church is a building. Huh? A physical building. Concrete. How can a center pole interact and have intercourse with this building? Even if we want to think of it on a spiritual level, you see, the thing about it is we have to move the church from carnal to spiritual. God, in all his wisdom, does not need a physical act as that to produce the church. The church is called the bride of Christ. God, Jesus, is the bridegroom. Why is the church called the bride? Many things in the Bible is given a male reference. Most things, huh? But the church is called the bride. Why? Because the church reproduces. And anything that reproduces is of a feminine nature. Have you ever planted a tree? And it ain't bear nothing. Nothing, years and years and years and years. You ever say, that's a male pawpaw there, you know. That is a male whatever tree. You know why they identify it as male? Because it has not borne anything. So that when Christ referred to the church as his bride, when we come and we join the church, what we do is we enter covenant into union with God in marriage to God. Let me say that. You see, just how when you go up, you say, will I, Harry, take Mary to be my lawful wedded wife? And you say, I do. When you go to the Jordan Bank, well, I don't know for now, but before, when you get there, after you're done set up whole night, candles burn your whole night. When you reach down there, the leader going to ask you now if you're still intend to go. And you saying, I do. Or I endeavor so to do with God. Whatever you say, covenant and marriage taking place there. You entering now into covenant with God. Because you speaking it now. You see, whole night we could have assumed that you want to baptize. But when you get there, you have the opportunity to say, you see, me baptizing, now is my mother will make me come. I baptize him because I find Shabbat Lester, he look real handsome, and I feel if I come up baptist, he go like me too. You understand where I'm coming from? But when you say, I don't know what people say. But in our church you say, I endeavor so to do. If God be my helper, you would have entered into covenant and union with God. Amen? And I looked at some people's research, right? I used some research that I found, right? I want to say two things about the center pole. In olden time, well, not so old, because you see I ain't so old. But since I'm born now, and I grew up in the thing, the center pole was considered the altar where the woman could operate. So that we can go there, women, because you know, anytime we cross there, man starting to watch your cut eye. Because they want to know where you're heading. Because anytime you decide to head up there, them heading down. So it was a place where women were free to operate. And one of the most significant things about the center pole, apart from it representing the Bonding Center and where we all meet as one in Christ and all of that, that's a place where spiritual battles used to be fought. The center pole was a place where you could understand if somebody is a builder or a master builder. Center pole was a place where masters met and they engaged in spiritual activities. Some used to be for edification of the church, and others was to just test each other to see where you make up altar, what you know, how much you know, and most of all, if you know. Now, the church does not change the center pole. And I hope I'm coming your way, right? Because we have to understand that what is spiritual, and what is carnal is carnal. Now, when we get to a place, there must be a meeting point. There must be a mutual ground. There must be some place where we can all come as one. Where, you see, when we reach to the center pole, you could be leader and bishop. I could be nurse and sister. But when we get there by the center pole, that is a place where we could walk spirit walk. You see, hold on. If I come up on the altar, right? I may use my boy, Pastor Cohen. I love him too bad. Pastor Cohen might say, Mother Ned, with all due respect, get down. I mean, yes, I know you're a big modern thing. And I know you know the word and thing, but get down. But I could get by the center pole. He could get by the center pole, regardless of who he is and me. And we could walk there. He could prove me there. I could prove him there. That's why we need that space called the center pole.
Center pole was there as a meeting point, a meeting place in that time where the strength came in that area. So you're saying it is spiritual, right? This is a spiritual place to meet. What you're saying no.
Yeah, it started off as a physical place that turned into a spiritual place of great spiritual significance.
So because of that center pole, it remained the same.
It remains the same.
All right, okay.
It remains the same. But what you have to understand is that the strength of the physical church, then the camp, let me go back. The camp, the strength of the camp was in the center pole.
So it remained the same.
No, we no longer have camps. So the center pole now represents a place of where there is no Jew, no Gentile, no Greek, no, in other words, it didn't have no big and small and high, and anybody can go there. You can go to the center pole. When I cannot as a woman go up on the altar to operate, I can go to the center pole because all the vessels are there. Everything that I need to operate is there. I can go there and offer my sacrifice. Yeah? And I'm not talking about blood and dove and thing. I can go to the center pole and I can offer my sacrifice because as a woman I'm limited. I can't go up where the high priest is. So the center pole is very important. It's very, very important. And another thing, and as I said, let us talk some Baptistness. If I want to walk a thing, right, a little jingle, I can't go up there because there represents something where jingle mustn't take place. But by the center pole, magic could take place there because it really is a lower altar. It is an altar where everybody can operate from. But up there have assigned people because you see, and as we go into that just now, the altar of the church represents sacrifice. The word altar means sacrifice. And it represents the Godhead. And without going into much things, I want to say something for the brother and all of us to understand. In the church, there are two different types of work that takes place. You have the ecclesiastical work and you have the spiritual work. And the spiritual work is where I will take some oil and some honey and thing, and I will rub down somebody and say something and pull them and stretch them and spin them and all of that. That is the spiritual traditional work. And then we have where the priests, the shepherds, the whomever would go up to the altar, and they are supposed to up there offer prayers on our behalf.
Yes, I just want to ask about the center pole reference as being the navel of the church. Navel of the church.
Right, that's another thing. People say that the center pole is the navel of the church. Now, the thing about it is, as I said earlier on, when we do not understand some stuff, and we do that with plenty things in the church, and that's why we confuse our own selves. Because we want to be so accepted that when somebody asks you, you don't want to be able to say, well, you know, that part of it is, as Teacher Donna said, is a faith thing. So we have to have something to tell them. So we say it's the navel, we say it's the penis, we say all kind of thing that is not really so. It is not really so. The center pole is not the navel of the church. Again, we're using the human anatomy to try to understand that, because we do not understand the real significance of it, so that we call it names from the human anatomy, so that our friends who we want to be so accepted by will understand. And the thing about it is, when we tell them that, because they operate strictly by the book, they're going in the book to find navel, center pole. And when they don't find it, they still think that you're done and you're dotage. And we need to preserve our religion, and we need to understand this space in which we operate is a God-given space.
The center pole, as Mother Ned says, is an altar. And it is the altar where all of us can give ourselves a living sacrifice. That's what Paul says. Okay, we are to present our bodies a living sacrifice. And that's why we kneel and pray by the center pole. It is an altar where we could come with our tears, and where we could come with our pains, where we can commit ourselves, commit our lives to doing God's work. And that is why we need to be careful that we say these things, we come to the center pole and we pray and we ask for forgiveness, and we commit our lives to God, and then we walk away and forget that it's an altar. It is the altar where all of us can come. Like Mother Ned says, that's the altar where the men of God selected by God to pray, say prayers on our behalf. But there we can bring our own prayers. Okay, and I can tell some people simply, sometimes some people need to be, before they approach that altar, they need to spin themselves out and spin all the sin out of their life at the center before they approach that altar. And that altar and that center pole gives an opportunity to be able to do that.
My question is simply this. I understand the significance of the center pole, but I have noticed, not many, but there are a few churches now that don't have a center pole. And I am asking myself, where do they meet?
Right. And to answer that, when you reach to churches like that, you need to be very observant, because their whole and sole dependency is mother and leader, because they have no place to go. Mother, my head hurt me. Mother, last night I couldn't sleep at all. Leader, whole week this knee giving me some problem. Leader, something wrong. But when you have a place where you can go for your own self, you don't have to be so dependent. Mother and leader could teach you how to pray and say, child, kneel down there and pray. And you can go there for yourself and say, Lord have mercy